You've heard the myth that stubborn Henry Ford only sold his cars in black. But what if I told you that single color is the key to one of the biggest lies we tell about innovation? That this bottleneck was actually a masterclass in cheating physics, a hack so effective it painted the 20th century, and whose final chapter is being written right now by robots hunting for dust we can't even see. This isn't just a story about paint. It's a 100-year war against time, chemistry, and human desire. The year is 1913, Highland Park, Michigan. Ford's moving assembly line slashes build time from 12 hours to 93 minutes. But that miracle runs head first into the paint shop and shatters. Painting a car in 1913 isn't a process. It's a prison sentence. Brush on a coat, wait 3 days to dry, sand, repeat. 12 coats, 6 weeks per car. If Ford completes 15 cars daily, but each needs 6 weeks in paint, you're building a parking lot of 600 wet cars waiting for chemistry to catch up. By 1925, Ford builds 10,000 cars a day. That would require 420,000 cars simultaneously drying, a mathematical impossibility. The Model T was about to die before it ever lived, not because of engineering, because of paint. Ford's engineers discovered something unbelievable about asphalt, a rare, glossy form mined from the Uinta Basin in Utah called Gilsonite. This mineral had been forming underground for millions of years, creating an asphalt unlike anything else on Earth. It could flex without breaking, revolutionary for cars with no suspension on dirt roads. But the real breakthrough? When you bake this stuff at 400 degrees, it doesn't just dry. It undergoes chemical metamorphosis. The molecules cross-link. What takes 6 weeks to air dry takes 60 minutes to bake. They called it Japan Black. This wasn't paint, it was edible armor for steel. Here's the genius. This paint doesn't dry, it cooks. When baked at 400 degrees, the linseed oil oxidizes rapidly. The Gilsonite melts and flows, filling every microscopic pit. The solvents flash off instantly. What's left isn't sitting on top of the steel, it's bonded to it, chemically, permanently. For decades, we've been told black was chosen because it dried faster. Wrong. Ford's records show all his baked paints dried at the same speed. So why black? A brutal trifecta. First, Gilsonite is naturally deeply black. Turning tar-based paint into bright colors was chemically impossible. Second, black hid the imperfections of early sheet metal. Third, carbon black pigment was the cheapest substance on Earth. It still is. Now you have paint that cures in an hour, but you still need to apply it every 93 seconds. Brushes are impossible. Spray guns don't exist yet. So Ford's engineers made their most brilliant move. They didn't try to paint, they decided to drown. They invented flow painting. Massive overhead tanks holding hundreds of gallons of Japan Black. Gravity feeds paint down through pipes to the line. Workers guide a controlled black waterfall over bodies as they move. Paint floods the surface like a liquid avalanche. Excess drips through floor grates, gets filtered, and pumps right back up. Zero waste. No overspray. No brush marks. No bottleneck. Ford broke the physics problem by not fighting it. He used gravity. They weren't painting cars. They were baptizing them in liquid road, then baking them like pottery. From 1914 to 1925, over 15 million Model Ts rolled out wearing this asphalt armor. By the early 20s, half of all American cars were black Ford Model Ts. The price plummeted from $850 to $260. Ford's empire seemed unshakable, but the greatest stories have a twist. When World War I ended, DuPont had mountains of nitrocellulose, smokeless gunpowder, and no one to sell it to. Chemist Edmund Flaherty discovered this explosive could create a lacquer that dried in minutes, could be sprayed, and made in any color. They called it Duco. DuPont partnered with Alfred P. Sloan of General Motors. In 1924, GM debuted the True Blue Oakland using Duco lacquer, dazzling two-tone blue with red and orange stripes. The public's reaction was a sensation. Orders flooded in. Suddenly, the fastest-drying paint on Earth could be any color imaginable. Ford's magnificent, optimized monochrome empire was suddenly a relic. By 1927, the Model T was dead. When Ford returned with the Model A, it wore Duco colors. The age of asphalt was over. The age of color, born from repurposed explosives, had begun. But here's what haunts me. That chemistry Ford perfected? It's extinct. The lead catalysts are banned. Gilsonite in automotive-grade concentrations isn't available. When you see an original Model T with century-old factory paint, you're looking at a chemical process we've legally outlawed. Modern technology can't match what Ford created solving a logistics problem.
Today, in a Ford plant in Valencia, Spain, a vehicle enters a light tunnel after its final coat.
In 15 seconds, cameras capture 3,000 images. A computer builds a digital twin and compares it, micron by micron, to a flawless model. It detects dust particles invisible to the human eye and guides a polisher directly to them. 99.99% accuracy. The war Henry Ford started against time is now a silent war against the microscopic. So the truth is stranger than the myth. They never brushed 15 million cars. They drowned them in liquid roads, baked them into armor, and sparked a color revolution with the leftovers of a world war. Every car you see today is the final layer of that century-long conflict between efficiency and desire, between monochrome and rainbow, between human hands and digital eyes. The paint on a car is the thinnest, most brilliant layer of our history. Proof that profound changes don't come from answering the question in front of you, but from having the courage to erase it and write a new one. From turning road tar into revolution, gunpowder into palette, and human fallibility into digital perfection.